Welcome to the Tech for Good Southwest podcast, brought to you by Annie, Alicia, and Ariel. Tech for Good Southwest has relaunched, and we are on a mission to build momentum for the Tech for Good movement across the Southwest. Our podcast focuses on conversations with charities, investors, startups, and initiatives to share their stories, challenges, and successes. Our next few episodes are focused on our founding sponsors and their hopes and ambitions for the Tech for Good movement.
Welcome to the Tech for Good Southwest podcast. I'm Ariel Tai and super excited today to be talking to one of our sponsors, Ben Heasman, here representing Torchbox. Really cool to be speaking to you. If you could start by introducing yourself and telling us about your organisation.
So I'm Ben Heasman from Torchbox. And so Torchbox are a digital agency, and we specialise in working with the not-for-profit sector. So that means we work with charities, with public sector organisations, with clients in the higher education sector as well. And we do everything from digital marketing to designing and building websites and applications, but particularly with users firmly at the centre.
And what's your interest in Tech for Good?
So I think ultimately our interest in tech for good is really because of the reality that we live in a broken world, one where, it's becoming increasingly obvious that people are using tech for harm, which is, obviously devastating. And we live in a world where communities don't have access to certain sectors and industries because of where they grew up in the country or because of the color of their skin. And it's a world that we live in where people push for technological advancements, whatever the cost. And, ever since Torchbox was founded by our founders, Tom and Ollie, they had a sense of wanting to bring change into the world. And so I'd say really it's built into our DNA as an organization to be interested in tech for good. And recently we did some work to revamp our purpose for the organization, and our new kind of purpose strapline is that we exist to empower positive change makers, both through the jobs that we choose to work on, but also through the work that we choose not to do as well. So I think that's coupled with some of our other areas of focus, we've recently become a B Corp, and I think that's just linked in with that drive. We want our business to be good for the people and for the planet as well. And again, we've a few years ago, we became employee owned as an organisation, and actually that's meant that things like our sponsorship of Tech for Good Southwest was an employee-driven decision. It didn't come from the top down; it came from one of our employee voice groups. And so, Tech for Good really lines up with who we are. I think that comes out in a number of other ways as well. So, over the last few years, we've had the privilege of working with organizations like Django Girls, who are helping women to fall in love with programming, and the Outreachy program, which are internships for underrepresented people in open source. We're also partnering with a local school in Bristol who have a lot of underrepresented communities in tech by running sessions with them and encouraging students to come and work experience too. So I think we're just really excited about the prospect of bringing positive change to the world through technology, through wider representation in the industry, through focus on accessibility and sustainability of the products we build. So tech for good for us is really tied in closely with doing business better, and I'd say that's where our interest really lies with tech for good.
Wow, it's really incredible stuff and so positive to hear all about the social value and impact work that you're doing. In terms of Tech for Good Southwest, then, you've come on board as a sponsor. It'd be really good if you could tell us, what are your hopes and ambitions for the Tech for Good Southwest network? What do you hope it'll be able to achieve?
Yeah, I think there's probably a number of things that we think that the Tech for Good network in the Southwest can achieve. And that's why we're really excited to be part of it. I think a huge part of that is knowledge sharing. So, working with other like-minded people, getting together and creating a bit of a community that can share the work we're doing in those areas, but also challenge and inspire us to do more in those areas too. And I think as well, we're convinced that as one organization, we can do a certain amount, but actually when you partner with others, there's an opportunity to have greater impact. Especially when working with some of the smaller charities in the Southwest as well. And I think another, excitement for us as well, and our ambition for the network is that we'd love to continue to create opportunities for individuals at Torchbox to use their skills and experiences to volunteer, to get involved in local organizations and charities and helping drive things forward. Because I think, a lot of people have the desire, and, they're like-minded. They work for a company that's values or driven and orientated. And I think having the option and ability to get involved in, but sometimes it's hard to find the opportunities. And so having a network that can link them up with spaces and places where they can serve will be really exciting for us.
Yeah, and there is just something really exciting, isn't there, about convening and having spaces where people can get together, we can share skills and knowledge. There seems like there is a real momentum that's building up at the moment in the Southwest for more value-based organizations. And it sounds like, I mean, you've been doing that for a long time. That's sounds like that's why you were set up. Why do you think the momentum is growing and sort of why now?
Yeah, I think partly it feels like we're on the cusp of a new era in technology. And I think that's probably a big part of why it feels like there's a real interest in tech for good in the Southwest at this moment, and people getting together and convening. I think obviously, particularly with the advent of AI, it feels like technology is on people's radar more now than ever. But also I think with the advent of things like AI, there's also the option for technology to be used for harm more than ever as well. And so I think people are pretty aware of that, and there's a heightened awareness in the community. And I just wonder whether now the interest is there because people are aware of that and they want to get together to see how can we make sure that there is a sense of like we're driving forward to use technology for good. And I think as well, people are probably more aware of the fact that when people are working together, we work together all these things, there's an opportunity for greater impact, and the ability to set an example of what better businesses look like. I think it's just more on people's radar at the moment, like with the advent of like the B Corp movement, for example, as well, to understand like how we do business better. And I think actually convening like-minded organizations and people is going to be a really good way of doing that.
Wow, super inspiring stuff, Ben. Very excited to work together and see what we can do. So thank you so much. Great to have you on the podcast.